Oh my goodness, look, it's me. Hi. Yeah. Cool. Okay. Oh, perfect. So hello, everyone. I'm Kat, and I'm here to tell you about Small Scale OA. So Small Scale OA is a circular economy for coastal data, solving complex problems at the local level. For every problem, there's data consumers, those needing data, and data producers, those who have data, right? Two obstacles prevent data from getting to consumers. One, there's no easy, secure way for data to move, and two, there's no benefit, no reason for it to move. Small-scale OA overcomes both obstacles. We're plumbers, laying the pipes for data and compensation to flow between data producers and data consumers. Let's walk through an example. Coral reefs are incredibly valuable to the Philippines, with coastal communities and businesses deeply reliant on their health. With corals facing increasingly intense and frequent threats, communities need to take immediate action during a stress event, like abnormal water temperatures or acidities. And taking action requires money. So who do we think could provide this funding? How about an insurance agency? In order to provide these funds, insurers need near real-time, fine-scale aquatic data to monitor what's going on in those reefs. And they need a secure, easy, direct way to get money in the hands of communities. Small-scale OA can satisfy both of these needs. How? Small-scale OA is a secure, interoperable digital platform on transparent, traceable, distributed ledger technologies that handles all kinds of coastal data, which anyone can join, and where data exchange terms and conditions are stipulated within smart contracts. Small-scale OA's digital infrastructure allows for automatic peer-to-peer transactions at scale, no need for a third party to get involved. So issue number one, solved. Data can now get from point A to point B. But small-scale OA also solves the second issue, why data will move from point A to point B. Since data is valuable in small-scale OA, as data flows one way to benefit the producer, as data flows one way, something of value flows the other way, right? That's to benefit the producer. This incentivizes data to change hands. So let's get back to our example. If we stick cheap autonomous aquatic sensors on the boats of small-scale fishers, that makes them data producers who stream temperature, salinity, dissolved oxygen, and pH data into small-scale OA's digital ecosystem. This data is transferred via smart contracts to an insurer, that's our data consumer. And insurance payouts are triggered automatically based on this aquatic data according to the smart contracts. Which I think is pretty cool, because implementing an aquatic stress parametric insurance scheme would help Philippine communities avoid lots of costly damage and would yield some considerable profits for an insurer. But what makes small-scale OA so powerful is that it's not just about insurance or coral reefs. With this same aquatic data, coastal communities could tackle another environmental problem, harmful algal blooms. In fact, small-scale OA has already partnered with groups in the Philippines to implement a harmful algal bloom fish kill early warning system. But that's not all. If you have a lot of it, aquatic data is useful for severe weather prediction too. And considering the Philippines has over 1.4 million small-scale fishers, if even a fraction of them were equipped with aquatic sensors, we could easily get sufficient data to improve our weather forecasts. This is where small-scale OA shines. With small-scale OA, many complicated problems can be addressed simultaneously because data is multi-purpose. By fulfilling multiple purposes, small-scale OA is serving multiple consumers, which means more compensation flowing back to data producers, which makes small-scale OA self-perpetuating. The incentive to collect, process, and share data is built in, fueled by the compensation flowing from consumer to producer. Small-scale OA is fusing together existing piecemeal efforts, shifting the context within which decisions are made so seafood and coastal businesses can thrive. It's providing the framework for a data economy based on a distributed ledger technology, but it consists of multiple platforms. It's well suited to the seafood industry and integrates environmental and ecological systems, and it's prioritizing smallholders and integrating with a whole lot of cool technologies too. Yet it's unique because it focuses on data itself. By explicitly recognizing the value of data, Small Scale Away's circular data economy is self-sustaining. And with the addition of each new data consumer or data producer, Small Scale Away brings in more revenue. Each new customer is charged an onboarding fee for any services the Small Scale Away team needs to provide. And there's also an onboarding or a continual user fee that's charged biannually, proportional to the amount that the individual is using the network. Small Scale Away has 5 initial use cases focused on problems in Indonesia and the Philippines. And each of these use cases needs specific data to solve their respective problems. Helping with implementation for these, we have some initial partners. And the whole point of this is so that all of those things are no longer scary. I'm going to stop now so that we can take some questions. Thank you.
Do you have any ideas to expand past technological monitoring, besides monitoring environment?
Yeah, exactly. So one of the use cases that we're looking at is providing information for the seafood industry. And so that's actually where a whole lot of distributed ledger technologies are being applied right now, is trying to say, look at the traceability and transparency of this very opaque industry. Let's try to fix that, right? I have personal qualms with a lot of the approaches that are used there because there's not really an incentive for the data to be moving. And so what that ends up doing is it ends up extracting information at the expense of the supplier. With a small scale away system, you can start to have compensation going back to that supplier in exchange for the data they're providing to someone like Walmart. Other thoughts, other questions? Yeah?
Can you, in a little more depth, explain the level of incentive for those small scale fishing boats? Those small scale fishing boats to put on that data tracker?
Sure. So the idea here is we have data producers and consumers, right? And so each use case is going to have a whole slew of complicated factors that go into the economic decision making of those data producers and data consumers. And so if you go to an Indonesian seafood community that's struggling with bomb fishing, that set of incentives is totally different than the incentives that you're going to face in harmful algal bloom situation in the Philippines, right? But the cool thing is that smart contracts can be written for both of those circumstances. And so you can define those kind of incentives differently so that they can match both place.
So essentially be unique every time for every village or what have you.
Right. And so if you need help building those smart contracts, you can have the small scale away team help onboard you. If you happen to be a user who is super good at doing that kind of build, just join on your own and you don't need to pay us to help do it.
So if I'm not mistaken, so you're essentially equipping these Indonesian fishermen with sensors, right?
That is one portion of this, yes.
Right, and they're being compensated with by using smart contracts, right?
Yes.
So I'm just curious from their point of view, right? When you're onboarding people, how do they actually, how difficult is it for them to actually convert that to usable currency?
Right, so it depends how that smart contract's defined, right? So you could have that smart contract say, okay, you get a certain amount of fiat and that gets deposited in your bank account. You could have it be a certain currency, and then you can have an agreement with the local telecommunications network to convert those into top-up credits on your mobile phone, because that's how a lot of telecommunications work in these parts of the country. But you could also have it be something where you're getting government services, or you're getting an insurance contract. In that insurance slide that I was showing, you might have noticed that the fishers were not providing a payment towards that community group payment. They're providing data, but they're still insured, because that's their contribution, is they're giving something valuable to the insurer who would otherwise not be able to get that data and thus would not otherwise have access to this market at all, right? So each contract can be defined with different terms. And that's why I love smart contracts, is because we can get away from dollars and cents, and we can talk about true economics, which is opportunity cost, which is an exchange of real value. Any other questions? No? Okay, well, feel free to talk to me. I'll be here the rest of the day.
Thank you very much.